This woman found any excuse to pick on me, but her obsession with my mailbox? That was on a whole other level. At first, it seemed like an accident. Then it became a habit. Week after week, there she was, bumping into it, knocking it over like it was her personal mission. But I got fed up. If she was determined to wreck my mail, well, she was going to have to face something indestructible. And let me tell you, my friend, her reaction to the new setup? Absolutely priceless. If someone had told me a year ago that I'd end up in an all-out war over a simple mailbox, I would have laughed in their face and called them crazy. But here I am, telling you the story of how my neighbor turned the most harmless object into a battlefield. And if you think I'm exaggerating, that's only because you haven't met the kind of person who would lose sleep over a piece of mail that isn't even theirs. It all started small. My mailbox sat at the edge of my property, just like everyone else's in the neighborhood. But for reasons only God and her massive ego could understand, Karen decided my mailbox was a personal attack on the aesthetic standards of the community. The first time it was subtle. One day, I went out to grab my mail and noticed the box was a little crooked. No big deal, it could have been the wind, a kid playing around, anything. But then it happened again. And again. And just when I started wondering if I was losing my mind, the truth smacked me in the face. I had installed a security camera, not because of the mailbox, but because of a string of thefts in the neighborhood. But on the very first night I checked the footage, there she was. Middle of the night, flashlight in hand, kicking my mailbox. Yes, kicking. A middle-aged woman, dressed in a flowery robe, stomping on my mailbox like she was leading some kind of rebellion. For a moment I was in shock. Then I started laughing, because there was no way this was real. Now, a normal person? They'd call the police, confront her, do something rational. But me? Oh no, I wanted to see just how far this madness would go. So, I simply reinstalled the mailbox the next morning, said nothing, and waited. Sure enough, the next night, she was back. This time, no kicking, just a firm shove with her hands before walking off like nothing happened. But at that moment, I knew this wasn't stopping anytime soon. That's when I decided I was going to put an end to this nonsense once and for all. If Karen wanted a battle over my mailbox, fine. I was going to win in style. One thing I've learned in life: some people don't realize when they've already lost. And Karen? She was queen of that club. After watching her on video, kicking, shoving, and even at one point trying to RIP my mailbox open with her bare hands, I knew she wasn't going to stop. So, since she wanted to play games, I decided to have some fun too. I spent a few days researching my options. Concrete? Maybe. Reinforced steel? A possibility. I even considered installing a mild electric shock system, but then I remembered I valued my freedom and didn't want a lawsuit. And then I found the perfect solution: titanium. Overkill? Maybe. But at this point, I didn't care. I made a few calls, found a locksmith who could do the job, and ordered a pure titanium post with an impact-resistant, corrosion-proof mailbox. If she wanted to kick something, let her kick that. The next morning, Karen drove by just as the installation was happening. She literally stopped her car in the middle of the road, staring at me with a face that screamed, "What's that idiot up to now?" I ignored her and continued supervising. The locksmith set the titanium structure in reinforced concrete, making sure that thing wouldn't budge, even in an explosion. And once it was done, I stepped back and admired my masterpiece. It was beautiful, indestructible. And the best part? Now, it was her move. That evening, I made myself a coffee, got comfortable on the couch, and pulled up the security camera app because I knew she wouldn't be able to resist. And I was right. At 2 a.m., here she came. Flowery robe, flashlight, the same sneaky look of someone about to commit a crime. She approached the mailbox like it was a wild animal, looked around to make sure no one was watching, and then she did it. She kicked it. And, my friend, what happened next was pure poetry. The impact was so brutal that she was practically launched backward. Karen lost her balance, stumbled, and landed flat on her, but in the middle of the sidewalk, clutching her foot in agony. Her flashlight rolled away. She writhed in pain, muttering swear words that would have made a sailor blush. And there I was, sipping my coffee, grinning like I had just watched the best episode of a TV show. She struggled to her feet, limping, glaring at the mailbox like she was hoping, just maybe, she had finally destroyed it. But there it stood, immaculate, unmovable, untouched. Karen had lost. And for the first time she knew it. I'd like to say that was the end. That Karen learned her lesson and moved on. But of course she didn't. Because this woman? She didn't just hate losing, she didn't even understand what losing meant. And so, in true Karen fashion, she doubled down. But this time? Oh, this time, she really screwed herself. Continued,